Hey modders, welcome back to ModifedRoll. Don't forget we're sponsored by DM Dice. Check out the link to their website in our description, or head over to dmdice.co.uk and use the code ModifedRoll for 10% off all purchases. Last episode, the party headed back into the valley to see if they could track down the cause of the missing sheep. They followed some clues and discovered what they believed to be the lair of the creature, as well as some indicators as to what it might be. Realising it may be far beyond them to take on themselves, they headed back to Keyrn. Now, back in the Emberhearth Gate Inn, they begin to retell their story of what happened in the Lich's lair. In this, episode 24 of season 2 of ModifedRoll, Recent Reflections. So you arrange a messenger and you send this super fucking clear message to Lord Brinlow, and it is not long. You spend the rest of that time. You're back at the inn. You leave off all of your equipment back in your rooms that are still paid up, and you probably have a drink and some food now that you're back and begin relaxing and talking over the last couple of days. And over the course of the next hour or two, people come and go from the tavern. Some people come in and they're quite interested in what you're talking about. Adventurers aren't uncommon in Keyrn, but there's still like enough of an interest that some people will come in and they'll ask to join your table and listen to your stories, and they'll they will show genuine interest and shock as you regale them with what has happened. But eventually the door opens and Lord Brinlow steps inside, and as he sees you, all his face lights up and he rushes over to the table and is like, I received your message. A little bit weird, but still, you're back. You've survived. I'm genuinely impressed. And you say you retrieved the sword?
Yes, we did. We did.
Before anything else, you must tell me what happened. And he sits down at the table, and he wants to hear about how you retrieved the sword of his ancestor.
Oh, that lich wasn't dead.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crusty and dusty, but alive.
It was until we removed the artifact you wanted.
Oh, from the beginning, and he has you tell the story from start to end. And do you plan to keep anything from him? I'm going to assume you don't tell about all the fucking treasure you found.
Yeah, we won't tell about the treasure, but I also want to pretend to be the lich while we're telling the story and have
just over-exaggerate how scary that lich was.
It's like it's performance theatre, excellent.
Yeah,
someone's
so
narrating it. Well, Twilight's doing interpretive dance or something like that as the lich.
I was going to say, when you said you pretend to be the lich, I was going to ask, do you mean you're going to pretend to be possessed by the lich, or you're going to act out the lich?
Like we're acting out a play of it, and then has a fully dramatic Shakespeare death scene.
Okay, all of you can roll a joint performance check. Twilight, just because of the way you described it, I'm going to give you advantage.
Haha. Natural 20.
Oh, wow.
I'm wasted by one natural 20.
What's my performance? Ooh.
That'll be a 21 with a natural 20.
Oh
my god. Mine's a 22.
19.
Mine is 18.
Oh, guys, we're in the wrong career.
This is our calling.
Fucking hell. You guys are all going to multi-class into Bard at this rate. You guys begin retelling the story, and like I said, you guys have been talking about it, and other people have been coming in and listening, but since you've arrived, this is the first time you've sat and retold the story from beginning to end. As you've been waiting for Brinlow, it is moved from late afternoon to early evening. The bar begins to fill up, or this tavern begins to fill up. As you tell the story, this place is enraptured. There isn't a sound to be heard, but you guys regaling the story as you talk about making your way through the dangerous traps, overcoming the creatures that were waiting in ambush, defeating the fiery newts who were belching fire upon you, until eventually coming to the room with the lich. You talk to Brinlow about finding his ancestor, and Sinclair, I'm going to assume you present him with the remains. He sheds a tear at this. And Giliana, again, this is what I was asking, do you provide him with the notebook?
I was going to say, I want more money for the notebook. I want the sword, but If I'm then go the sword, I want more money. I want money for the book because it was extra.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna. If you present him with a notebook, don't let him take it. But you present him with a notebook. I was gonna give you guys a bonus anyway because obviously you killed a fucking lich.
Hey.
So you present him with a notebook, and while you're telling the story, you describe how, you tell him, be careful. This, it's going to fall apart. This thing is ancient. We had trouble even opening it. Somebody in the tavern voices up to say, "Actually, I work in the city here. I'm quite good at fixing things. I have a little bit of magic." And he steps forward, and he's able to cast Mending on the book. And before you, the cracks in the leather heal themselves. The pages where they were torn and crumpled and falling to dust reformed crisp white vellum, and you're able to open the book. In front of Brinlow, he sets the book on the table and he turns from page to page, and you all, having just regaled your own story of facing off with this lich, you hear the history of what led to that moment. You hear the story of Toldek, the paladin who lives in what is now the region of Keyrn. You hear the story of the ascension of a powerful wizard who turned to the dark arts. He sought lichdom in order to elongate his life. We hear of Toldek, who raised a defense of the region and rallied the people to fight off this undead creature as it gathered more power. You hear of Tharun, the wizard who stood by Toldek and between them developed a plan to slay this creature. It's well known that a lich is not an easy thing to kill. Through their studies, they develop a method of prolonging their life, not just in undeath, but even beyond that. They take their soul and store it in a phylactery, which they often keep hidden away, far from where their lair is, to make it so that even if someone were lucky enough to make it through to them and slay them, they're guaranteed another chance. This journal details how between Toldek and Tharun they had planned to destroy this lich in the swiftest method possible. One would head out to face the lich head on, while the others searched for and eventually would destroy the phylactery. With Tharun's magic, and with the help of a local blacksmith skilled in the arts of smithing, they forged a blade imbued with magic that could seal the soul of a creature to its mortal body, so long as the blade was intact and stabbed through the creature. They had planned for the worst case scenario. Should Toldek have failed to slay the lich, the least he had to do for the sake of the people around him was to weaken it and impale it on the sword. This would prevent its soul from leaving and lock it into a stasis of sorts. Unable to regenerate, unable to wield its magic, it would be stuck that way until someone could deliver the final blow. In the meantime, Tharun would seek out and destroy the phylactery, and should he also survive, he would follow in Toldek's footsteps and finish the job. The fact that you stumbled upon the lich and destroyed it implies that while both set out and completed their initial tasks, you believe that unfortunately both Toldek and Tharun did not live to see the world that they saved. Brinlow is not ashamed to shed a tear at the fate of his ancestor, but a cheer goes up for Toldek and Tharun and the Lich Slayers who stand before them. The drinks flow, the food is served and is delicious and costs you nothing. And the celebrations carry on deep into the night. And amidst it all, through bleary eyes, Brinlow presents you with a pouch with double what he had promised, 2,000 gold. The party winds on into the late night until you all cannot stay awake any longer, and you head off to bed. For Twilight and Giuliana, it's not quite as easy a night to get into bed as you are presented with your friend. Whose name I have to look up.
Imphis.
That was the one. Upon your return, Imphis leaps from the rafters, landing on the bed in front of
off.
Twilight.
Fuck off, Imphis.
Puffing up his chest. You have returned! And what offering have you brought me?
This. She puts a middle finger up.
You can't understand a word he's saying, unfortunately, as he's speaking in Sylvan Twilight.
I'll translate. And then I'll like curl her middle finger back down.
When you present him the finger, he like not attacks you, but like spits like glittery sparks at you.
What have I got in my inventory? I'm just giving him all my stuff. God damn it. I put out a tiny. It's like the top of an acorn.
Okay.
And I'm going to be like a hat.
Highs or lows?
Lows.
He takes the little acorn cap, places it on his head, adjusts it so it's at a jaunty angle, leans back and looks at you as if he's waiting for approval.
I'm going to be like, stunning, incredible, never been done before, magical.
Sparks sort of erupt from his nostrils and he grins and leaps back up into the rafters.
Ew.
And you see him once again curling around the little wizard model that you'd given him before as he settles down to go to sleep.
Just sneeze.
I'm going to add Dragon Stylist to my
I hate that thing.
He's fine. We just
hate
have to...
it.
No, he's cute.
It's horrible.
He's cute.
He doesn't like me. I don't like
He's
him.
cute.
We don't get on.
Well, maybe if you didn't treat him like you don't like him. then he might
Excuse
like you a bit
me.
more.
You're forgetting he stole from me. I didn't even do anything. He started this, not me.
But he's a dragon. That's like what
Well,
they do.
I'm sorry, Kazizel doesn't steal things from us, does he?
Oh, racist.
I'm not born that
Does it
stereotyping.
say all dragons are the
I'm
same?
not saying well, that's what Twilight said. She was like, he's a dragon, that's what they do. And I was actually
Sinclair, I feel my ears burning.
actually defending the fact that all dragons don't do that.
From the other room through the wall, you just hear Rave.
I would just say he's young. Stealing, like, you don't steal things.
Huh?
Like, you don't steal things.
When have you ever seen me steal anything?
I haven't, but it doesn't mean I don't know.
You trying to say
I've seen how slick you are.
you don't know me? You don't know my life story.
I don't.
You don't know what I've got up
I
to.
really don't.
Exactly.
It's just the end of a friendship.
Don't make assumptions about me.
You don't know me.
No, you just have like an air about you where you could
A
steal
thief's
stuff, you know?
air.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, watch your back, Twilight. We'll see what goes missing out of your bag.
Happily, you do not want what is in my bag, but go ahead.
How do you
I mean,
know?
that's very true.
You don't know me.
Okay, enjoy the teeth. And I also stole that dead guy's fingernail. It's in there somewhere. So
Sinclair, we all seem to be getting along nicely now.
Yeah, as Sinclair, as he's doing his squats for the night, his exercise, he's like, I think everyone's getting on quite well.
Yeah, I think, in a short time we'll be best of friends at this point.
Yes, I absolutely
I can't
can.
imagine
I
any of us
so.
fighting with one another.
we are fighting.
Anyway, do you want to go and oh, I know what we can do. Let's read our book club books.
Yes. Oh my god. We're gonna settle down, and I'm gonna turn around and be like, I really do like thieves. You know, I go on about Servants of the Gentleman Thief all the time.
I thought you just said feet. I was like, wow.
Oh no, that's next month's book club book.
So you don't know her. You don't know.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we were
No.
talking about the right thing. You like thieves?
Thieves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell. Maybe we could find a smutty romance about a thief,
Ooh.
and then maybe you can give it to your best friend up in the rafters after, because he likes thieves as well.
I probably could.
Yeah, maybe it would make him a bit more likable. Maybe we could bond over that.
Hey, maybe we should get him a tiny smut book.
Yeah, we can join our book club.
Okay, let's read some more.
The Duke ripped off his shirt
Yeah.
while climbing out of.
You two settle in, sitting next to each other, reading smut, which isn't weird at all, and nobody's making a comment like that.
I mean, that's like the basis of me and Danny's friendship.
In the next room, after you've finished your squats,
push-ups, some sit-ups. Sinclair's doing his nightly routine.
I'm just there meditating, just doing what I need to do to mellow out for the night.
He's watching Sinclair's ass as he's doing the squats.
No, I'd imagine you're both reading your books while you're doing this.
Oh yeah, while the squats.
Yeah, one eye.
Oh, of course.
Because he's still got one eye closed meditating, one eye on the book. Oh, have you got to the bit where she rips off his shirt? Eventually, after you read a sufficient amount of smut for the night, I don't know what sufficient is for you, you can all decide, you do bed down for the night. It has been an exciting, to say the least, couple of days. As you get into the bed for the night, Sinclair, what are you thinking about?
Interesting. I would think that now that they're back in Keyrn, Sinclair is thinking forward to the Harvest Festival and his role that he's been offered to play, specifically for the blessing the harvest in the morning.
Yeah, you thinking ahead to that. What, looking back on the last few days, what Sinclair's, I'd say of the last couple of days specifically, looking for finding the Chimera, defeating the Lich. I think I know the answer, but all of that, what moment stands out the most?
For Sinclair, it's the moment when he felt that warm embrace and he plunged that sword straight through the Lich's head.
Mm-hmm.
He almost felt, Paylor reach out to him.
Yeah. You drift off into sleep, and after a time, as your body relaxes, you open your eyes, and initially you find yourself back in that stone room. Ahead of you is the stone chair that the Lich was sat in, now empty. You can still see the mark in the back where the sword had broken through the stone and plunged deep into the chair itself. You hear a sound behind you. You turn, and the Lich is there, hand raised, reaching towards your face. You don't raise a sword. You don't move to defend yourself. Instead, you feel that warm hand on your back again, and light, bright, shining golden light emanates from all over your body. And the Lich recoils, its hands pulling back to guard its face in the sunlight. Where it hits it, it bursts apart into golden particles, which float away into nothing. The sunlight continues to brighten and burn, and the stone walls around you similarly break apart into golden motes and drift away. And all of a sudden, you're again standing in a wide open field filled with golden wheat swaying in the breeze, with bright blue skies and a golden sun shining down upon you. In the distance, you can hear calls of the farmers and the workers beginning to pull in the harvest. And that warm touch on your shoulder becomes more solid. As you turn, you see an elderly gentleman, a fair bit shorter than yourself, with his hand reached up and placed on your shoulder. He has a close-cropped white beard, and as he turns his face to look at you, his eyes shine with golden light. He smiles, nods once, and then also drifts apart into golden particles, which flow in the wind over the wheat fields. You see them drift off into the distance. And then you relax into your nightly slumber and sleep the rest of the night through. Sticking in the same room, Kaziso, After the last couple of days, what are you thinking about as you go into bed?
So I'm laying there thinking about the jobs we've done the past couple of days. What we've done with the Lich, and even after that, going off to find what was taking the sheep, turning out to be a Chimera, and hoping he's done what he's done today, has done some good
Mm-hmm.
in the world. He's got his fingers just lightly touching the ruby that's on his head. The imprint between him and Sardior, and yeah, just kind of hoping that he's doing some good in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't forgotten about what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But he knows that he will get that done. It's more, there's a lot in this world that can be dealt with at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You likewise drift off to sleep for the night. And much like Sinclair, you open your eyes and find yourself back in that stone room under the earth. This time, you can see yourself frozen in time for a moment. Your stance is wide, your arms are out by your sides. You're leaning forward, and emitting from your mouth is a blast of energy. You can see the physical ripples in the air now as time has stood still. You see on the far end the Lich, even with its speed, still being struck by your attack. You look at yourself and you see someone capable. You see someone who stood their ground against what you guys all believed was an overwhelming foe. And you walk around your own body, stood frozen in time, and you see yourself in a way you've not seen before. You see yourself from the outside. You see the lines of your muscles tensed, the set of your jaw as you fire off your breath weapon, the determination in your eyes. And you see someone older than you thought, but stronger. There's a bright flash of red light from the ruby between your, like, in front of your forehead, and the scene vanishes. You find yourself standing on the empty streets in Keyrn at night time. There's no one around, the place is silent. But you feel a pulling, you feel a tug. You turn to face it and you realise you're facing towards the same direction that the assassin was fleeing when you chased them through the streets. You feel the ruby at your head, pulling yourself forward in that direction. And then the dream is gone and you drift off for the night. Twilight, what are you thinking about as you prepare for bed that evening?
The Twilight's gonna try counting sheep to go to bed. But instead of sheep,
I love fewer sheep now.
It's Gilliana in a sheep costume.
That is cute as hell.
Yeah, just like kind of like chuckling to herself and just falling asleep.
Okay, of the last few days, what is like the one moment that sort of stands out to Twilight?
I think, similar to everyone else, actually finally killing the Lich, because we thought it was going to be a big thing, and then it just happened. Yeah, so she's probably going to think about that a little bit, and also the Chimera. She's like wondering what it looks like. Morbid curiosity.
Twilight likewise drifts off to sleep in the dead of the night. And when you open your eyes, like the other two before you, you are stood in that stone room again. You see the Lich. You see your spiritual weapon that you had summoned striking it from behind. You see yourself casting Sacred Flame. Unlike Cecil, you're seeing this from your own point of view as if you're reliving the moment. But whenever you attack with your spiritual weapon and the Lich has to use its shield to defend itself, you see the calculation in its eyes, you see it recognizing the danger, you see for a moment it looking towards you, and at a speed that you weren't able to recognize at the time, you see it calculating and recognizing you as a threat, as something that it needs to defend itself against, and it spends one of its limited spell slots to cast its shielding spell. You recognize that even though you didn't do as much damage as Sinclair or Giliana, you were forcing this creature into a corner. You were forcing it to use resources that it had very little of to stay alive. You feel two slender feminine hands on your shoulders, as if a woman was standing behind you. You hear a voice whisper, "Well done, my child." And then the scene shifts, and you're stood in the fields, overlooking the sheep. And all of a sudden a shadow flashes over you. You turn, but you're not quick enough. You can't see what cast the shadow. And then you turn, and just in time to see a bit of wool fall into the ground as a sheep is picked up and carried away by whatever this creature is into the distance, and flap, 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 you hear the sound of the wings, but again, you just can't seem to catch what it is and what it looks like. And then you turn around and all of the sheep in the field are now various Gilianas dressed in sheep's clothing, just wandering around, picking each other's pockets. And you fall asleep and drift off for the remainder of the night. Giliana, what were you thinking about as you got into bed for the night?
Giliana was thinking about how amazing it was to wield such a powerful sword, and how badass she felt doing it. And she'll be genuinely thinking about being vegan since finding out about the sheep.
Okay. I just had a really, really stupid idea. You drift off into your deep slumber. And like all the other members of your party before, you open your eyes. You find yourself in the bare stone room with the Lich in front of you. You can see Sinclair facing off against it, and Twilight's spiritual weapon hanging in the air next to you. This was the moment you stabbed it through the back, and time slows. Your foot moves forward, your weight shifts, you level the blade and you begin to push, but it moves ever so slowly, like it is moving through molasses. And as it moves, you feel, first of all, a strong, muscular hand on your right shoulder. And you look, and you see a man you do not recognize. Well, you don't recognize his face, but you recognize the armor he's wearing. It appears to be the man whose body you found in the room. He is tall and broad and muscular, with a close-cropped black beard and a face covered in smile lines. He looks down on you with his hand on your shoulder, looks at the Lich, then looks back and nods with a smile on his face. But the blade is still moving ever so slowly. And you feel another hand on your left-hand shoulder. This one feels more wizened and old. You look over and you see an ancient-looking man, almost Lich-like himself, gaunt and thin, with a long, wispy white beard. Again, you do not recognize this man, but you have a strong inkling that this may be Tharun the wizard who worked alongside Toldek to find this Lich's end. He likewise looks from you to Toldek, to the Lich and back, and smiles and nods. Then you feel another hand on your back, and you look around, and there's a sheep on its hind legs with its cloven hoof pressed against your back, and it looks from you to Toldek, to Tharun, to the Lich and back, and it nods solemnly. And all of a sudden, time returns. The blade lunges forward, stabbing the Lich. As you look around, these three people are gone. The room dissolves around you like smoke. You're left standing in an open field. In the distance, you can see a herd of sheep grazing as you sit, resting on the grassy hill. And you feel a presence next to you. And you look over, and it is your mother, likewise looking out upon the hills. She looks at you, and you realize you're still holding the sword, balanced across your lap. She looks down and places a finger upon it and smiles, and takes your hand, squeezes it tightly, and lays back in the grass under the sun. You lay down next to her, and you sit there for what feels like an eternity, until you likewise eventually drift off into deep slumber. And you all sleep the night through, and awake the next morning fully refreshed, if perhaps a little hungover, and feeling newly invigorated with a level up.
Hooray!
Yay!
You have one more day until the Harvest Festival and party, but for now, we're going to end the session there. Well, that's it for another episode. Thanks for sticking with us. As usual, I'd like to thank Lixie B and Jeff for the wonderful logo and character art they created for us, the Stormweather Zombie Choir for letting us use their song Drunken Sailor as our theme tune, DN Dice for sponsoring us, and all of our wonderful Patreon supporters who have been helping us out. So a slightly shorter episode this week, guys. Sorry about that, just the way we're cutting the episode up before Christmas. It was either that or the last episode be nearly 2 hours long. Recommended podcast this week, just again I haven't had time to pick up any new ones recently, but do stick around as we have a promo for the Potions and Potpourri podcast coming up next. But I'm also going to shout out very quickly a little personal project. I've made it a New Year's resolution to try and finally get out and release some of the DM's Guild products I've been writing in my spare time. I actually managed to get the first one hammered out fairly quickly. So Somniorum, the Book of Dreams, is now available on DM's Guild. This is a little supplement that is meant to help you use dreams in your storytelling for your TTRPG games. As you've probably guessed from listening to ModifedRoll, I very much enjoy using dreams as a storytelling medium, so I've written a little supplement to help people, incorporate that into their own methods. So you can find that on the DM's Guild. That is Somniorum, the Book of Dreams, and I will include a link in the description. But other than that, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you soon.
Hey fellow D&D and TTRPG nerds, this is Kayla Lundgren from the Potions and Potpourri podcast. Myself and my co-host Keisha are just two gal pals who like to hang out and have casual conversations about Dungeons & Dragons and other TTRPGs. Our show is loosely formatted, but we like to talk about a variety of topics relating to Dungeons & Dragons and TTRPGs in general, plus we do the occasional live play. We interview guests from the TTRPG space, and we also do improv creations where we make things up on the fly together. We give lots of tips and tricks, as Keisha is our resident DM and Kayla is a forever player. So if you're new to the Dungeons & Dragons or TTRPG realm, or you've been part of this realm for a while and you want to learn some new tips and tricks, or you just want to listen to some goofy gals chat about Dungeons & Dragons, Come find us wherever you get your podcast. Potions and Potpourri.